Hi everybody and good afternoon. Welcome to our week number 3 Twitch live stream for my research methods class. I hope everyone is doing well and enjoying this kind of cloudy, cool weather that we have. I wish it was raining, but I'll take this over like hot and sunny any day. But thank you so much for those of you who are on here with me. I see a bunch of you kind of getting logged in and putting your names in the chat. We are in week number 3. And so what I want to do is give you a little bit of feedback about last week. We'll talk about the things that we have due this week, including our first homework assignment. And then I will give you the extra credit question and see if you have any questions at all for me. So really quick, is everything coming through okay on your end? Can you all hear me and see me okay before I keep going? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and head over to Canvas together. So we have weeks 1 and 2 are over. We are right here. We're flying through the semester. We're in the last week of January here, which is kind of hard to believe. This month has gone really, really quickly. 57 days till my cruise. I don't know if I mentioned that I was going on a cruise or not, but I have 57 days, 16 hours and some odd minutes until my cruise at the end of March. Not that I'm counting or anything at all, but I'm very much looking forward to that. Yeah, I know. I'm very excited. It goes out of Long Beach and then goes for a week. So super excited. I'll keep counting down, right? Sorry to bring that up. But last week, let's look at week number 2 and see what we can talk about here for just a moment as far as some feedback. It was chapter 2, part 1. And so I just want to give you a little bit of feedback about the discussion for last week. Most of you did a beautiful job. I think a lot of you are doing really, really well. What I wanted you to do was read these little articles and excerpts and then talk about science versus pseudoscience and the demarcation problem and some of the issues with the science versus pseudoscience classification. And a lot of you just did a wonderful job of doing this. Nice detail, really went into it with like some of those key differences. Biggest thing I saw was just the main reason people lost points was just not quite giving me enough. So remember to always really elaborate and kind of show off your knowledge and understanding, and that it's better to give me a little too much than not enough. So for the most part, really nicely done. There's also a few of you that are still not responding to a classmate. So don't forget to also do that. I know it's only 2 points, but they are a very easy 2 points, and you want to make sure that you are consistently getting them. So those are kind of the big things that I saw for this last week. We do have another discussion as usual this week, so try and incorporate those things. And if you are consistently getting like 13 or 14 points, try and just give me a little bit more. Ooh, look, I squash. That's so funny. I got squash again. Right? I can't think it was this class that you saw squash, right? Oh, so if not, this is squash, right? I think it was you. I can't remember if it was you or my intro psych class, but she's very mad at me. She's just my like non-cuddly cat, right? Hi, squashies. Or bye, squash. She's like, I'm out of here now. Advantages of being at home, right? We got to see the cats while we can. I need the other ones to come. It's always squash. Oddly. But this week we move on to chapter 2, part 2. And I split chapter 2 up because I feel like the focuses of the first and second half are a little bit different. And I wanted to take the time to really pay attention to both of them. So for this week, make sure you read the second half of chapter 2 in the textbook, pages 39 to 53. This second half here is on how do we find articles about scientific research, how do we read them, kind of locating them and reading with a purpose. Those are the topics for this week. In the Beyond the Book, I have a little bit about academic versus non-academic sources, evaluating websites as sources, some important notes, questions to ask when you're checking a website's content. And then I have a little library session that was recorded and posted on here. And I kept the lecture for this week purposefully a little shorter because I want you to watch this. It's going to tie in really nicely to the discussion for this week and the homework assignment for this week. Everything threads together in a really beautiful way, I think. So make sure that you watch this as she's going to be going over how to find articles on the website for our college. She's also going to go over some of the academic versus non-academic stuff. So be sure to watch this video from our librarian, Danielle Caprellian. And then on the last page, here are the key terms. In case you're studying like one unit at a time, these are the terms that you'll need to know for our first exam, which is coming up and not too long. So something to start thinking about shortly. So read through all of that, watch the video, click on anything that's in there. It's going to be really helpful for you in understanding the materials. You also have a discussion this week, of course, and then you have a homework assignment and a little checking in survey. So let's talk about all those elements. Let's look at the discussion. So with the topic this week being on like finding articles and empirical versus non-empirical or academic versus non-academic, we're kind of building on that in the discussion for this week. So as always, you have my little introduction video that I would recommend you watch. As usual, be sure to think about these as like mini papers and elaborate. Don't forget to respond to a classmate to get those 2 points for that peer response. But what you're going to do for this one here is you're going to choose a specific search topic related to psychology, PTSD, depression, EMDR, motivation, emotions, conditioning, learning, whatever it might be, something psychology related. And then I want you to use the same search on 3 different platforms. We're going to be comparing sources of information. So I want you to do a general search like you would do on like Yahoo or Google or something like that. And then I want you to do a Google Scholar search and then a Psych articles search. After you've completed your search, you're going to answer the following 4 questions. So this is where that library video is going to be really helpful for you. She's going to go over how to use Psych articles and then how to access all of that. That's going to be really key. So then your questions you're going to answer is what was your search topic? And you're going to reflect on the differences between the 3 different platforms. What kind of information did you get from the general search engine? Which of these platforms was easiest to use for a general overview? Which one gave you the most up-to-date research? Which of the 3 makes it easiest to know the information has been peer-reviewed? So you're going to be comparing those different sources. Number 3, you're going to answer what is the difference between an academic and non-academic source and make sure to give an example. And then number 4, you're going to describe an advantage and disadvantage of using things like Wikipedia, which Danielle also talks a little bit about in her video. So when you're ready to do this, you'll hit reply. Don't forget to really elaborate. Don't forget to reply to a classmate. And this is also really going to connect to our homework assignment that we have this week, which I'll get to in just a moment. So homework assignment number 1 is due this week. And there are 4 of these throughout the semester. They're worth more points than a discussion. There were 25 points. So this is going to be something you want to spend some time on. And with this first one, what you'll see here, and somebody had a question, do you want it in MLA format? It says write it in Times New Roman and double spaced. So everything in this class should be in APA style format if I ask you for a formatting. For here, since we haven't covered APA style yet, just make sure that it is typed, double spaced, size 12 Times New Roman font with standard margins. Okay, so later on we will get to APA, but for now just focus on those couple of basic elements. Thank you for asking. It's a good question. So this first homework assignment is due by this Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. It's worth 25 points. And the purpose of this first one is to gain experience locating an APA-style empirical article through that Psych articles link on our college homepage. I want you also to practice locating specific components of an empirical article. Great, thank you for sharing that resource. There's so many wonderful APA resources online, so thank you for sharing that. And we'll have some resources as we get into APA formatting in the coming weeks. So your job with this is you'll be writing a paper that's only a page or 2 in length. You're actually not writing a ton for this paper. It's more locating and copying and pasting some stuff. But let me go through it, make sure it is in those formatting things that we just talked about, and label everything. Make it very simple for me to find everything in your paper. So the specifics, step one, you're going to be going to that psych articles link on the Moorpark College Library website, and you're going to be going to psych articles and finding a topic related to psychology. Now you are more than able to double dip a little bit with your discussion. So let's say for your discussion this week, you find a cool article about EMDR. You could use that same article here on the discussion. That's totally fine. You're more than welcome to do that. I'm giving you permission. So you're going to pick a topic related to psychology. It can be the same as your discussion or a different one. And then you're going to locate an article that follows APA style in the sense that it has an abstract, an introduction, method, results, discussion, and references. So make sure that your article has each one of those sections in it. If it doesn't, it's probably not a great article to use, and keep looking. Once you have found an article, you are going to click on PDF full text, and you're going to download and upload that with your paper. Right? I'd like you to include the PDF of your article with your submission here on Canvas. That way I can look at the article to double check. And in addition to uploading it, this is what your paper should include. And I gave you a little sample right here, which I'll get to in a second. But with your paper, what you should have is the title, authors, and publication. You're going to copy and paste the abstract and label it abstract. You're going to copy and paste the first sentence for the method, results, discussion, and you're going to label them appropriately. So I'm looking to see that you can take an article, identify the different sections of the article, and then just copy and paste that first sentence to show me that. I want you to do a quick read of the article. Don't worry about reading it 100%, but try and get a nice brief understanding of it. Give it a quick read. And then you're going to summarize that article in a couple of sentences. So this is the one big thing that you are creating for yourself in an essence. If you were telling somebody about the article, what was it about? What did you read? So you're going to kind of briefly summarize it in a couple of sentences and include that. And so your article plus your submission here will be what you submit here on Canvas. Up at the top, see how it says Start Assignment? This is where you can submit both your PDF of the article and then your written piece. I'm sorry, this date is wrong. I'll change it here in just a second. But this is what it should look like, right? So you'll say title, and then you're going to give me the title of your paper that you found, of your article. Authors, what are the authors' names of that article? What is the journal and publication information? So see how it's labeled very clearly here, and then you give me that. It says abstract, and then I want you to copy and paste the whole abstract. An abstract is a great way to kind of get a nice quick overview of a paper. And then you have introduction. Here's the first sentence. Methods, first sentence. Results, first sentence. Discussion, first sentence. And then your 1 to 2 sentence summary where you're summarizing it for me. So your actual paper that you're writing will probably only be about a page, as you can see. But don't forget to also upload the journal article that you found as a PDF. That's what's really going to allow me to double check that you are having everything line up. So the nice part about this is the discussion and this first homework assignment really key into that first chapter, section that we're reading right now. And I think it's going to be really helpful for making sure you can find an article and identify the pieces of it. There is a wonderful resource that we have. I'm glad that you mentioned that. Our Moorpark Writing Center has wonderful APA tutors. You can go in there, or you can even do it virtually. It's completely free. Thank you for including that link right there. And it's a wonderful opportunity where you can get someone to look over your paper and give you some suggestions on APA style and formatting. So thank you so much, CloudGap777. Thank you for listing that for us. So that is the homework assignment for the week. So a little bit more than usual this week, right? You have the lecture to read and the video to watch. Don't forget to obviously read the chapter in the book. Then you have the discussion, like always. That little quick checking in survey just to kind of check in with you and see how you're doing. It's not worth any points, but it is my way of just kind of making sure that you're doing all right. Is there anything you're unclear about? And then you obviously have that homework assignment worth 25 points. So a couple extra things this week. Everything is organized under our weekly folder like usual. I will give you the extra credit question in a moment and, of course, post the recording of this a little bit later. I do have a couple of reminders for you while I see if anyone has any questions for me. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, two reminders. One, if you could take a minute to double check your subscription status. I'm going to remind you of this every week. Sorry to seem like a broken record, but it saves me, as I've mentioned, an incredible amount of time, and I greatly appreciate those of you who've taken the time to figure it out. Thank you so much for that. If you're joining me live, make sure you put your name in the chat if you're not subscribed. And if you're watching this later as a recording, remember that you can still answer the extra credit question as long as you are subscribed on Twitch. The other reminder that I have for you while I am waiting, and put it here in the chat, our next Twitch live stream will be on Wednesday, January 31st at 12:30 p.m. Okay, so that's our next live stream. Next week will be on week number 4. I believe, is it next week that we have our first exam? Yes, so next week would be a wonderful week to be on here. I'm going to talk about exam number 1 and some tips and strategies for studying. If you have any questions about the study guide or the exam, that's a wonderful chance to ask that of me while we're here live together. Otherwise, let me give you the Twitch extra credit question for this week so that you can get those points for joining me. I did write it, so I'm going to copy it and paste it into the chat really quickly. So this is the week number 3 Twitch extra credit question. So the question I have for you for this week, worth 2 points, is what are some of the questions you should ask about a website before using it as a research resource? What are some questions you should ask about a website before using it as a research resource? And when you're ready to answer that, when you've read through the lecture and the book and all that kind of stuff, you'll go right here to week 3 and click on optional Twitch extra credit number 3, since we're in week 3 right now. And then up at the top, click on start assignment. So it brings up that text box where you can type your response. And when you feel good about it, go ahead and hit submit. It'll give you that confetti burst and horseshoes. All right, why not? It's always something different every time. I love that. So remember that these are worth 2 points. It's going to add up. It adds up to like 30 points or something like that. So thank you for those of you taking advantage of it. And thank you for those of you joining me live or even watching this as a recording. I'm more than happy to keep doing this if you continue to join me. So I think that is everything that I had for you today. We talked about feedback. We went over this week, homework, gave you the extra credit and some reminders. I will hang out for a little while if you do have any questions for me. Otherwise, get going on week number 3. I can't believe we're already in week number 3. And if you have any questions that come up later in the week, you can always reach out to me, of course. I'm going to minimize my video so I'm not staring at myself. But thank you so much again for being on here with me. And I will hang out for a little bit if you do have any questions at all about this week or about anything from the class. Thank you as well. I really appreciate you being on here. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being on here with me. I really appreciate the company. Have a wonderful week, everyone. And of course, like I said, if you think of questions later, you can always reach out to me. I am still here, just as a quick reminder in case you think of anything. All right, everyone. It looks like everyone has logged off, but maybe like one or two people. If you think of any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, have a wonderful, wonderful week.